and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Well, that's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most, here on The Rundown, 2A views, conservative news, and Craig, it is Throat Punch Thursday.
Throat Punch Thursday. That's right, folks. We're going to have good conversations, and we're going to be going after some folks who probably need some going after. Not that we don't do that every other day, but today, specific target is going to be punch him in the throat.
Kind of froggy, Craig. I might throw in a karate chop or two.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. So let's go ahead and, let's not dilly-dally. Let's go ahead and get into the show, starting with a shout-out to our sponsors.
Yeah, hey, let's say good hello to our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. If you've got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, you probably got one of their barrels and don't even know it. Well, now you can get from them direct for your next AR build or rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Make sure you check out the California 6th Congressional race while you're there. If you want the best in tactical concealed holsters on the market, get on over to Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, right there, The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word. Get a nice little discount there. And if you're going to the field and you want some excellent field gear, whether you're going hiking, fishing, hunting, camping, whatever it is, you can get everything but the gun over at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment, visit our sponsors. You'll find links to their websites in the description to this program. Go there, check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. Now, Mike, before we get into our news stories, I want to ask, did you take a moment to watch any of the vice presidential debate last night?
Oh, no, I forgot.
I will say most of it was how shall we say, it was a cluster. First of all, there were so many times where they were shouting over each other. I kept wondering, okay, have they not learned? Why don't we just shut off all the mics except for the person who's supposed to be talking? And then if they run over, shut off their mic instead of allowing them to shout over each other all the time.
You know, I kind of like to see, I mean, it's not, visually or audible, pleasing, but I like to see who the ones are that want to try and shout over people, that don't have the patience to get their point across, that believe that the rule of decorum is to be shouting like we're a third world nation. So I kind of like to see who those people are.
Yeah, the problem is that though that sort of behavior in a lot of these events actually benefits them. I'll tell you the funniest line of the night to me was when Vivek Ranadive cut off Tim Scott, and Tim Scott kept talking, and he said, Vivek Ranadive said, "Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting."
Very nice.
That's kind of how the night went. But I will tell you, Mike, the winner by far of the night, once again, you guessed it, Donald Trump. This was him in Michigan yesterday, where he was kind of doing his thing apart from everyone else.
The only time Joe Biden has ever gotten his hands dirty is when he's taking cash from foreign countries, which is quite often, actually. It's quite often. Based on what we're seeing, it's much more often than anyone would have thought. But can you imagine an unannounced raid on his many homes? He would have made Senator Menendez look like a baby, just like a baby. Can you imagine? You know, they gave him 3 weeks' notice. You know, they said, we're going to raid your home over documents. They gave him 3 weeks. Would 3 weeks be enough? So I can imagine. I'd like to see what he cleaned out of there.
Now, I'm going to tell you, if this is the Donald Trump on the campaign trail against Joe Biden's in serious trouble. Period.
Yeah, and this is the guy. You know, this
right.
this is what we see. You know, and he's coming into his groove as it gets closer and closer to actual run up time here. This is the guy you're going to see. What you saw the first 2 years was when everybody was saying, "Oh, it's a bitter Donald Trump that's alleging election irregularities. We'll say. Now it's campaign time, and this is who this guy is.
Good, excellent. I will tell you right now, I have confidence that that guy most definitely will beat Donald Trump, because I honestly believe when we will beat Joe Biden. I honestly believe if this election is about Joe Biden, he's guaranteed to lose. Joe Biden will lose.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
So let's make it about that, bruh. Okay, getting into today's news stories. This first one really tripped me out because I did not even, this is not something that I thought of, not even something that I was thinking about, but I was reading an article, and this was actually over at the New York Post. So this is not some left-wing anti-tobacco rag. This is, for all intents and purposes, a conservative publication, or at least a free publication, a non-biased. And it talks about how big tobacco created America's junk food diet and obesity epidemic. It says here, "Bet you can't eat just one" was more than just a 1960s slogan for potato chips. It was part of a concerted effort to engineer junk food loaded with fat, carbohydrates, and sodium in combinations that are irresistible to people because they trigger our brain's reward system, according to a new study published by the journal Addiction. And these habit-forming foods were created by the same companies that brought us addictive cigarettes. The research reveals that after the government moved to regulate the tobacco industry in the 1960s, tobacco companies responded by investing heavily in food manufacturing to hook new customers. So what they're saying here, Mike, is that the tobacco industry isn't necessarily into tobacco, they're into the addiction business.
Oh, absolutely right. And we know that. That's been what has been there. That's marketing, right? That's marketing 101. Is I don't want people just to have my product. I want them to be addicted to it. Now, listen, obviously, nicotine has its addictive properties, but you know what? So does chocolate. So does a hamburger. All right. And so if they do the marketing right and they get people on it, they are selling addiction.
Oh, no, you're 100% right. It's like they don't just want you to have their product. They want you to have to have their product.
Yeah,
and that's any product. I don't care if you're talking movies. Yeah. Look, guess what? Movie companies that are successful make movies that people want to see. Yes. Funny how that works. People who want people who make video games make video games that people want to see. We get all mad about the algorithms, quote unquote, on like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, saying, "Oh, well, guess what? It gives people what they want to see." If you don't want it, then guess what? Watch something else. If you don't want to eat this stuff, if you don't want to be unhealthy, how about this? How about you don't eat as much of that? How about you eat it in moderation? Because ultimately, you are the one who decides what you shovel into your mouth.
Yeah, that's the truth, right? It's a matter of self-control, no matter what the product is, whether it is the addictive nicotine chocolates or, like you said, movies or cheeseburgers, whatever it happens to be, you're the one that makes the final decision.
Right. Now, you do learn, and this is the sort of thing, is if we are supposed to be informed consumers. We have access to more information at the touch of a button than any generation before us. We have the ability to know what's in the food we're eating. We have the ability to find out what the effect that has on us. And once we know, right, then we are obligated to make good, or at least we now can make informed decisions. And if I still decide I'm going to shove those potato chips in my mouth, I know what the consequences are, right?
That's it.
Anyway, it's just funny to me that they're pointing this out, but I think it is good to know. I think it is good to know that the deliciousness of what it is that they are producing for us, it's not an accident. It didn't just happen. It's there for a reason, which means that you need to know what you're putting in your mouth so that you know what the effect it has on you. Anyway, Just my 2 cents.
You know, and I think it's a generational thing too, right? Because you and I know this, Craig. We know, you know, to take a look and see what's in these things before they put them in your body. But the you know the younger generation today, right? You know, we could see the excuses, right? Well, I didn't know it was bad for me. I didn't know. I trusted the marketing people because they're so driven on what's delivered to them, you know, via that visual stimuli, that they're just going to do it and not realize the consequences.
Well, and once again, younger people generally tend not to think about the long term consequences of things, in part because, well, you know, for many of them, their brains aren't fully formed till then they're in their mid 20s, and one of the last things in the mind, in the brain, to actually fully form and function is the part of the brain that looks long term and considers long term consequences, right?
Yeah, you're correct.
That's the hard part is, you know, when you're in your teens and early 20s, you think you're going to live forever. You think, man, 50 years old is way off. But when you're in your 50s, your 20s seem like it was just a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Although I will say this, I love that. I saw a meme one time and I was like, it's totally me. It said, to those of you in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, enjoy being young, because when you hit your 50s, that check engine light starts to come on.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yep.
Anyway, folks, good article over at the. It's a good article over there at the New York Post. Check it out, and then make it a point to take a look at what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. I'm not telling you not to eat certain things. All I'm saying is all things in moderation, except crack.
Yes.
Crack in moderation is not a good thing.
No, that should be a very well planned schedule. Yeah.
Or fentanyl.
Of never
fentanyl,
taking.
no. Drugs,
It,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Oh, more on the saga of our good friend, Mr. Hunter Biden. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but there was a check or not a check, a payment that was wired to Hunter Biden, and the address on that was actually the home of Joe Biden. It says here, Hunter Biden's Chinese business partners paid him more than $250,000 during the summer of 2019 in wires addressed to President Joe Biden's Delaware home, according to bank records obtained by the Oversight Committee that were publicized on Tuesday. The two wires were addressed to Biden's house in Wilmington, Delaware, by individuals associated with the Chinese private equity firm BHR Partners, in which Hunter Biden held a 10% stake at the time. Biden received the first payment of $10,000 on July 26, 2019, from BHR Venture Partners, Xing Wang. 1 week later, Biden received a second wire of $250,000 from BHR CEO Jonathan Lai. Joe Biden falsely claimed during the October 2020 debate that then President Donald Trump, with the debate with then President Donald Trump, that his son never made any money from business dealings in China. Now, we all know that he flat out lied, and now we know that the media never bothered to check on any of that information. It's funny to me how the goalpost constantly moves. At first it was, well, Biden didn't do anything wrong. Then it was, well, I never talked to my son about his business. I had nothing to do with it. Then it was like, well, I talked to him about his business, but I wasn't involved in the business. Then it was, I was involved in the business, but, just kind of tangentially. I didn't really know what was going on. I just talked to a few of his friends now there's, no money that actually can be tied directly to me, Joe Biden, that came to Hunter Biden. I'm just wondering at what point the goalposts are going to move next time.
Oh, who knows where they're going to move him to? Maybe just get rid of him completely. This is just more of their nonsense, continuing to change the story, change the lies, and expecting you to believe it. Here you go. Here's some more further evidence of this occurring. Oh no. See, no. What happened was we didn't know because it wasn't bad. So it's not a bad thing now because we've again moved the standard for the good line and the bad line.
Well, and at the same time, now you've got this information coming out, but at the same time, you have Democrats who continue to say there's no evidence. I'm like, every week there's more evidence that's being released, that's coming out that we know of. And once again,
Yes.
that's before the inquiry starts. At what point are Democrats finally? I know when Democrats are finally going to admit that there's something hinky going on when Joe Biden is no longer running for president. Then all of a sudden they're going to be like, that Joe Biden's a little dirty.
Yeah, well, we had to stand behind our guy because we couldn't let the bad man Orange come after us.
Yeah, it's funny because they always bring up, well, what about Jared Kushner? I said, Jared Kushner made no money from no money came into Jared Kushner or anyone related to Jared Kushner from foreign entities while he was working in the White House. And by the way, he was actually working in the White House. When he left, he got into a business with some Saudis. Everything in that business venture has been fully reported. There's nothing that people are talking about that has not been fully reported with the full value of whatever it is, and none of it having anything to do with influencing a current policy maker. You're free to do what you want when you're not president,
That's right.
but not when you're not. And what's interesting about this whole thing with the business partner is, honestly, it's not illegal, right? Because it's happening while his dad was no longer vice president. But what it does have to deal with is the fact that the president lied. The president lied during the debate when he said, yeah, my son has not made any money off China and Trump is lying. Turns out Trump wasn't lying.
Yeah, exactly right. But it doesn't matter, right? It's all a matter of spin and partisan politics and everything that they can. The only way they're going to win, Craig, is to continue to lie, cheat, and steal, and that's kind of what the DNC and the Democrat Party is good at.
DNC, God. Anyway, so folks, this is far from over. There's going to be a lot more information that's going to be coming out. It's going to be leaked out. And I really believe the reason why this one was leaked out was because, once again, there's going to be a consistent trickle of information that demonstrates that Joe Biden is a liar. He is corrupt. He has always been corrupt. And now he's just not in a position, his faculties are not in a position where he is going to be effective enough to keep lying about it.
Yep. He's not just liar. He's liar, pants on fire.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Oh,
Yeah,
you
that's a
smell
legal
that
term,
smoke? You smell something?
Yeah, you smell
Smells like
popcorn?
stale barbecue.
You smell like popcorn.
All right, well, there's another 2A lawsuit. You might notice there's been a whole bunch of those happening lately. And this one, guess where? California. That's right, California's unconstitutional gun scheme, the one that known as SB2, is being sued. Now, there's two lawsuits on this one. This particular article is referring to one filed by gun owners of California, as well as gun owners of America, and as well as there is a lawsuit being filed by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Now, you might wonder, why do multiple organizations file lawsuits? Well, you're kind of limited as to the different types of, or how long or how much of a case you can make when you file your briefs. So what this allows you to do, by having multiple different cases, each plaintiff can sue for a different reason. Now, oftentimes what will happen is those cases will all be brought together under one case. That's usually what happens as it moves up the line. But once again, you then get to make your special reason why you are suing under this. Now, this new law in California, it is bad. It basically, without getting into a whole lot of detail, Mike, it basically makes every place a sensitive place, right? It's kind of funny because in the legislation, it says it makes it consistent with Bruin by identifying sensitive places. And it says sensitive places are public parks, playgrounds, public demonstrations or gatherings, restaurants or bars or restaurants with bars, public buildings, state buildings, city buildings, obviously schools and school campuses, places of worship, public transportation, and any place a local city or county jurisdiction decides is a sensitive place. Can you imagine, Mike, trying to legally carry a firearm in a place where you have absolutely no idea when and where you can actually have your firearm and not have your firearm?
Exactly right, Craig. This is this law will be eventually right struck down. It's almost a mirror image of what Bruen had thrown out. That was the law in New York at the time. But it's designed to create more criminals. Folks, the example I always use is imagine you're driving through California on the interstate. You're going from north to south, and the speed limit keeps changing, but they don't tell you what the speed limit is. That's what you have to do with gun laws. You're going from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Everybody's going to have a different set of gun laws, and you have no idea what they are, but you're still going to be held legally responsible for that.
Well, and consider this, though. The other thing is, so you've got one of the main proponents of this, the governor of California. He's running for president. He doesn't admit it. He won't acknowledge it. But he's running. He's either running for 2024 or he's running for 2028. So he's running for president. So we know this. This is all about him getting his name in the newspaper. And then the other proponent of it, Mr. Rob Bonta, the attorney general, who has overseen the largest increase in crime in state history because of his utter refusal to do his job. He's running. He wants to run for governor. Oh, yep. And by the way, he's going to be running against the superintendent of public instruction, who has seen the single most failure of public education in the entire country. Well, I take that back. Baltimore schools are probably worse, but only because we actually have some conservative areas of education here in California. But it's like these people keep failing up. And the media keeps covering for him.
Yeah, this is just typical of what the California politics is, right? And listen, Newsom, I don't even think he wants to be in California anymore. We continue to see him, back away from bad decisions in the past. Here's another one now that he's going to end up having to eat during whatever his campaign is, whether it's 2024 or 2028. It's just, how can this guy even be considered a viable candidate, knowing the crap that he's leaving behind?
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, it removes any restrictions that additional municipalities fees that municipalities can charge in order for you to get your concealed carry permit. So, like for example, in I think in one county in Los Angeles, in the city of Los Angeles, they literally want to charge you $1,000 on top of all the fees and everything in order to get your concealed carry permit. So imagine that. Imagine having to pay $1,000 fee, having to take a class, having to purchase a firearm where you pay the 10% federal excise tax, another 11% state excise tax, and a almost 10% sales tax, on top of having to pay for your background check. And it is going to be to where only the wealthy are going to be able to own or possess a firearm, in particular outside of their home in the state of California.
Yeah, that's the New York City style, the old model from New York City. And Craig, they try to hide this $1,000, and they declare it goes to a safety education programs. It's not a fee. It's a safety education program fund.
Right, and that money basically goes to groups like Everytown, Moms Demand Action, Giffords, so that they can then lobby against law-abiding citizens' right to keep and bear arms.
That's it. Just like
it goes towards more gun control, is what it does.
Yep.
All right, moving right along. Commander is at it again. Now, if there was ever any evidence that there is a two-tier justice system and that the wealthy liberal elite get protected, and conservatives get to, get the shaft. It's got to be this. So the Biden's dog Commander bit another Secret Service employee at the White House. This is the 10th or 11th. This is the 11th time that this dog has bitten somebody. It says here, President Biden's dog Commander has bitten another U.S. Secret Service employee. A uniformed division officer was bitten by the dog around 8 p.m. Monday at the White House and was treated on site by medical personnel, said USSS Chief of Communications Anthony Google. That's a name for you right there. Can you pronounce that one, man?
Guglielmi.
Okay, there you go.
Guglielmi.
You'd think someone with the name Piwowarski could pronounce other people's weird names.
I do. That's right. It's Guglielmi. It's an Italian name.
Guglielmi. Okay, there you go. The officer doing a fine job, he said. Elizabeth Alexander, communications director for the First Lady, Jill Biden, said the White House can be a stressful environment for family pets, and the First Family continues to work on ways to help Commander handle the often unpredictable nature of the White House grounds. I don't think the grounds are the problem, Mike. It's that the dog keeps biting people.
Guaranteed, Craig. Right now, dollar on the table. Joe Biden has no idea he owns a dog.
Probably so. Now, I did hear an interest. Someone made an interesting comment. They said, and I noticed this with our animals. I noticed that when someone is around, in particular, someone who's around oftentimes, and they're sick, they're not well. I do notice that our dog winds up can get very, very agitated, can bark a lot at them. It's like the dog senses that something is not right. And I really believe that in a case like this, where you've got the president who is clearly not right physically, mentally, and is in a high stress situation, I believe that is causing agitation of the dog, and people are trying to get the dog under control, and the dog's like, nope, I ain't having it.
That's it. Yeah, he's not right in the head.
He's not right in the head.
And the dog, you're right. Dogs do that. They panic. They'll either, protect that sick individual because they're trying to help them get them better because they feed them, or they get in a panic mode because they realize their owner might be leaving them because they need the owner because they feed them.
Right. But folks, that's just another sign. Look, even the dog knows that Joe Biden is not right. Yeah. Why don't the rest of you people know that? Well, let me clarify. 75% of people polled said that they do not believe that Joe Biden is capable of serving another term because of age and dementia. I'm just wondering, who are you other 25%? Who are you people? What are you thinking? What are you paying attention to? Why did you answer your phone to do this poll? I'm trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, these 25% of the people, Greg, when the phone rang in their house, they did this. They went, "What's that noise? What's that noise? What's that noise?"
It makes absolutely no sense. I just, I got to tell you, it's the reason why I think many people are confident that Joe Biden is not actually going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. Because think about this. Think about how much he has declined in the last 6 months. It is significantly noticeable, and it's accelerating. What is he going to look like 6 months from now, when the primaries start? Not even 6 months, 4 or 5 months when the primaries start. He doesn't have the benefit of being able to run from his basement again.
I agree. I think he ended up being the nominee because the party elites, the handlers, so to speak, are unwilling to give up that power that they have, rather than hand it over to a Gavin Newsom or somebody along those lines. I think they're willing to take the risk, let something happen to him while he's in his second term, and then they can control that person as well.
But I believe that the only thing that they can then do is, one of two things is going to have to happen. they're either going to need to, because I don't believe that based on what we're seeing, I believe a lot of people are going to wind up voting against Joe Biden just because they're like, no, he's too old. We can't have him as president. So they're either hoping that that's not the case, or they're betting on the fact that something significant enough will happen that they can just declare another candidate at their convention to take Joe Biden's place.
Yeah, quite possibly. We'll have to see how it plays out.
It'll be interesting, to say the least. In any case, talk about interesting. It's time for Parting Shots. Brought to you by Hog Holsters. Go to hogholsters.com. Use discount code The Rundown and get your Hog Holster today. All right. Well, we actually had. You saw just the one thing we had where you had the president, former president, was out speaking, referring to our current president. Well, we have another segment, another clip here where he is demonstrating or showing the, I don't even know how to put it. He's making fun of the president and how the president walks. And the funny part is, it is so accurate.
Where am I going? Where the hell am I going? I want to get out. Oh, no, over there, over there.
Which, by the way, is why now they have a program to protect the president from stairs. They took him from coming down the big stairs to doing the short stairs, and now that he's demonstrated he can't go down the short stairs, they're going to put him on the luggage tray here, luggage rack. Is that what you call that thing? What do you call that thing that they're unloading the luggage on, Mike?
The luggage belt.
The luggage belt. They got him on the luggage belt. Anyway, in the meantime, I found this clip here, which I found to be hilarious. And it's kind of, this is how they are kind of pushing the president's agenda. And needless to say, it ain't looking good for him.
Let's go. The White House doesn't want to explain why they want Latin America to colonize North America.
What do you call it when 10,000 people illegally cross the border in a single day?
Biden said, just watch me.
Watch me.
And I am. I'm watching him give 500,000 Venezuelans temporary amnesty this week.
The president is granting temporary legal status to nearly 500,000 Venezuelan migrants.
And they get work permits and social security numbers.
Honest to God, watch me.
And that gets them driver's licenses. And in Pennsylvania, you get a driver's license, they mail you a ballot. In New York, you have a social security number, you can register to vote. That's the point.
Wait, no, you can't. No, we're moving on.
Green,
moving.
please.
In the back.
And that is pretty much how those discussions go with the president and the administration. You point out, you ask clear, concise questions. They don't answer them. Or they just flat out lie. And they tell you, don't believe those lying facts or your lying eyes.
That's right.
I think the American people, when it's so bad that even liberals are pointing it out, the liberal media is pointing some of this stuff out, you know they've jumped the shark.
Yep. That's it. It's laughable to watch, and unfortunately it's painfully laughable to watch, and we see it happening every day.
Sadly, it is our reality in these United States today. But with that brings us to the end of our show. But before we go, it's time for a shout out to our sponsors.
Yep. Let's say hey to good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. You can get rifle and pistol caliber barrels at any length you need for your next AR rifle or pistol build. Check them out. Also have Glock barrels available now. If you want the best in tactical holsters, get on over to Hog Holsters. That's hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. If you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, you're heading outdoors, check on our friends at uscombatgear.com. And don't forget to watch see what's going on over at the California Republican Assembly. That's the California's future today. Now, you could be involved with California's future today, and make sure you check out the California 6th congressional race while you're there.
All right, folks, so that's going to be it for today. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. With that, we're outie. We will be back tomorrow on Friday. Y'all have a good time.